Morning, Wednesday the 23rd of June. As you can see, we've got some beautiful skies behind me, some tools in front of me. Today's the day that we start the grand erection, or new erection I suppose. This is the old one, so that only covered the first plot, and now I've moved over from over there to here, and we've got giants. I want to pretty much duplicate this one over here. I've just started to mark out where the posts will go. They're not really technical. Tape measure and a bit of string. I tend to put all 4 corner posts of the structure, the external corners, in first, let them go off a bit, and then I can run a string line between them. Those going off of eye really. Close enough is good enough in this thing. We're not building a house, it's not building rigs. It's just got to be strong enough and angled enough to have the polythene over and not end up being a pond in the sky. As you can see, the plants are motoring along still. So we're 4 weeks in, we're easing the ground, and we've still got, I forgot to put my slippers on, we've still got a lot to stop. So these are Hamari Gold. We only done 3 of these. There's those 3 there last week, and ever since it's rained and been quite cool, so they haven't really got away particularly quickly from that. But I should be working through hopefully today, which will slow me down on the build, but doing probably 2/3. So if I've done 3, I should do at least 6, and that'll leave me with 3 to do next week, which hopefully might see me through to Harrogate or somewhere in between. Valentine's, same, because it's a bit later. I've basically done half and half. Same with the Rihanna Tammy and Alvis Supreme. I didn't get all the plants I wanted big enough to bury or confidently bury. So there are some, and you'll only notice them by the fact that there's a label in the front of the planting hole rather than the back, and they're just plants that were planted, probably a pair under the ground, but planted in a traditional fashion, and the labels are at the front to remind me not to chop it to the ground, or chop it and strip it down like I have with the others. And you can see there, that one has got away quite quick, or very quick. It's got 2 shoots coming up from underneath. Generally a few more follow behind, and then I'll start selecting out the bigger shoots to delay them some more. I'm going to spend hours on this just to run through really. So we've got Ramses and Louis, the Brins, some buds coming on the odd Maveland plant, but that won't matter because that's going to get chopped to the ground. It seems that even the plants, when they bud, it doesn't necessarily force the basal shoots out, or the below ground basal shoots out. So you've got a bit of time on your hands to still restart the plant time wise. I have tried to, where possible, work on doing the right hand row first, and then I'll do the left hand row second, just so I can visually see and know that I've put a difference between the timing and seeing which ones produce at the right time. That's what is it, Greta and Water Hardersley. Slug is starting to lay off of me 80 Yeti. They're growing through it. Seems to be a popular spot for them. White Alvis, again we can see some shoots just starting to come from the base there. The odds and sods, Mingus Whitney, and I haven't done any of the Sherwood Gemma yet. I should probably do some today, or may even just leave it another week and do the lot, because it is quite early and quick to bud, and I'll only do a few of the Bonaventure today, which are there, which I haven't touched yet. The almonds and the kids are doing the usual, really are motoring out, and when you do stop them, you can see the growths they're very keen to throw from underneath, which is quite lucky because that's the intention. And through to the sort of pilot and Go American bin. So everything's looking decent. They've had about 4 feeds now, a couple of folio feeds and 2 sprays, just with rose clear, just to make sure we don't get any problems or build up with aphids in this hot damp weather. And there's the sticks to mark out the holes, and that's today's project. I won't get it all up today because I do need to spend a few hours on the plants, but I'll try and get as much as I can up, and I can just work away doing the rest. Hopefully at least get the posts in and the rails, and then I'll do the cross sections later. You probably spent most of that seeing my chin, forgetting that I'd push director's view, but that's the way it is. See you later. Making a start on the cover. I've got the first few posts in on 2 sides. I've also gone round the side on a string line round and put the rest up. So it's coming on. I've been working on this now for about 11 hours. All the holes are dug, all the posts are in and concreted, backfilled, tidied, uprights are in, all the horizontal rails are on, as you can see. They fall over the wood. And I've just done the crossbars on one end. The rest will have to wait a week. I'll get up early tomorrow and work on the plants. Friday the 24th, just had another feed, nitrogen feed, ½ gallon per plant, so about 70 watering cans. Went through yesterday, didn't have the time on Wednesday, and pretty much done the final chopping down. As you can see, they're all headless. There's a few there, so there's 4 Hamara Gold that I'm just leaving just to tag on for later, see how later I can get them on an early variety. All the brins and those are done. All these have been done. Just left 3 Greta to see if I can get them later. All the bits and pieces are done apart from a couple of Zorro. These are all. You can see some from last week already throwing out the ground shoots already, and you can tell that because the top plant starts going backwards because there's 4 or 5 shoots coming up from under the ground and they're taking all the goodness. I've left 3 each of the 2 climaxes, and I'm just going to experiment a bit with the Bonaventure. 6 I've chopped the tops off and stripped them to the floor, and 6 I'm going to try and hang on for a natural stop and take them off the main stem. Ben's done and all these are done, so hopefully that'll get us around about Midlands through National, and hopefully I can hang on to a few to see us to Harrogate. Wednesday the 30th of June, finally managed to find another day off a week later to finish off the cover. So that's all up now, ready to take some netting. Well, I need to put a lower bar on to take the netting, but netting and then cover. I've got a bit of an avenue through here, so I'll net those outsides, leave the 2 inward facing sides alone, so we get a bit of air movement but take the worst of the wind. Starting to see stuff now coming out from the ground. These are ones that were done very recently, and others probably 2 weeks ago when I started doing it. So I've just done the last few plants, so the last 4 gold, last 3 Greta, the Brin family are all well away now with shoots. Always so slow. So everything's down to really trying to get it out of the ground now. A few I couldn't of the water harvestly. The slug bait plants seem to still be that, no matter how many slug pellets I put around them. They're the ones the slugs get sacrificial lambs. So everything's now down. You should see the covers up. I'm just going to wait and see what comes up and start thinning out to get the timing right. So this is an example of the plant of Greta. It was chopped and stripped down 2 weeks ago. I did put a marker, a black mark on the cane on the ones that I did last week, just so to tell the difference. And we can see after 2 weeks now, there's these shoots come in. And the plant does tend to start looking a little bit sorry for itself. There's another one there. See the shoots coming out there. And they never seem to do it all at the same time. They don't just, it's not instant. You don't cut them down and a week later, 2 weeks later, they're all at the same stage. You do get a range. So by growing 12 plants of each and doing it over 2 or 3 weeks, you do get a stagger, a decent spread, I hope. But I can imagine things like this and that probably should make Bank Holiday weekend anything in advance. And there's some here that one's got a particularly good shoot on it, but then there's other small ones down there. Might get me to national or be a bit early, but you can adjust them as we go, which we'll do probably in a couple of weeks time. Monday the 5th of July morning, just starting to go through the plants, those that have been stopped early or those that have got away early, and just removing excess shoots or even the original plant. So these are Alva Supreme, that's a border collie, and you can see there's a fair bit of growth on some, and then others over there, not a lot, and same as here, and these were the last ones to be stopped. And all I'm doing now is when the breaks start coming from the ground, you often get more than you need, and the main plant, the original plant that we planted above ground, or the stem above ground, it just starts hardening and effectively disappearing. These take the power out of it. So all we're doing really is going through, and this one I've already cut because I knew I couldn't do it with one hand. And we take the original plant out, so it's quite a nice hard stem, so it tends not to rot further down. That's gone. So the bit that we spent all that time growing. And then when we look in here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6, maybe 7 shoots. I try to do it so that I leave them on the equal sides, and so it is quite early, so I'm more inclined to take the big stuff if I can get it out. So I would think that would beat the shows. I hope it would, because I just took it off. I'll leave that one, and I'll probably take that smallish one there out. Again, just a little one. You can see the white stems where they're coming out from the ground. Leave you. Take you. Sometimes you have to push your finger down into the ground to push away to get the shoot off at ground level or stem level. Again, we can see the offending shoot is gone. So we're down to 4, and there's a little bit in there. Let's try and tidy these little bits as much as I can while I'm here, because it might be a while before I get back to this plant. So we'll take those few smaller shoots out. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and a little bit, which I'm going to take that little bit out. So we're down to 4, from fairly large to fairly small, and that plant's done. Sorry that was a bit wobbly. I'll try the tripod next time. And at that stage now I'll put the other 2 canes in and a piece of string around, just to stop any animals walking across the plants and breaking off what I do need. And if one of those was to bud before I want it, then that's the one that will be removed next, and I expect that one at the back there will bud beforehand, but I think these other 3 will probably be okay on Alvis Supreme, which isn't the earliest of plants. I've already done that, and this is the other reason I put the other canes in, because it's black and white 4-legged things that are quite likely going to break them off. And as ever, Mingus Whitney is always quick to shoot from the ground, and quite often he will throw further shoots down the line. So I've just done those and took them down to sort of 4s, and again you can see bigger and smaller plants. Doesn't look pretty, but there's a purpose. They're supposed to be flowering before those, so there's a variety of stages to give me a bit of a spread, as long as they all make it naturally. If the bigger ones come too early, and at least the next ones might make it. I'm hoping for the smallest plants, or possibly the knockbacks on the bigger plants, if there is any, or further shoots come on bigger plants, to make it to Harrogate hopefully. But you can see I put the string round, and it goes round about a foot, even though the plant's not actually getting any benefit from that, but it's there, it's done. It's about just over knee height from her, so she's less likely to walk between the 3 canes, and then I'll just keep the shoots going, and I'll just poke them in as I have there, just so they rest between the sticks, the string even, as it grows. So that'll be the jobs for the next probably couple of weeks, in between watering, feeding, spraying and so on. It's just going through the patches. These are the brins. You can see they are sort of abundant in shoots, but that's all we need, and they are pretty late, probably the latest, so those will just be grown normally. The canes will go in, probably it'll be Wednesday by the time I get to those, and just a bit of string round. But other than that, everything else is doing okay and growing relatively well. Could do with a bit of warm weather to come along and just to help move some of these along, but I think it's just the season. And that's that block of 12 Alvis Supreme done, stripped down, plants cut off, with the exception of a couple that I wasn't feeling that the plant was big enough to bury. So there's one there and one there that are slightly more traditionally stopped, although there is a shoot on each coming from lower down. Hopefully it'll be the last time the plants go backwards. They seem to do it a couple of times, from planting, then stopping, and then removing the plant. Here on in, hopefully it's onwards and upwards, as long as these little tiny black slugs keep away. As there seems to be a bit of a problem with them this year. We'd be good to go in a couple of weeks' time. You'll see a lot of difference. 7th of July, just starting to go through on the ones that have got away quickest. And basically what I'm doing is, where I can, removing the original plant. That would have been the original. This is a bed of Kids and Almonds Climax. So that was the plant that was growing in the ground, chopped off at basically ground level. I stopped these in 2 batches, and most of this left hand side here were stopped a week before the ones on the right. so I probably won't be able to do the same to them as yet, and that's what we end up with. So none of this side have got the original plant remaining. They're all just shoots from below ground. I hope that perhaps one more or so will come, which they often do, because I'm pretty sure that most of these plants like this will be well in advance of the shows. But there's 4 shoots there. If I need to knock a shoot back, I don't mind really, because that's as strong as the main plant, so it's no different to give them a double stop. But then same with this, main shoots, no plant remaining, but there will be other shoots come from there, and I think you can just see one starting there, so I can always pick the small one and take out the big one. Other plants like this, they might just make bank holiday weekend on their own. It's not a late to bud variety, but then the contra to that is the ones over there. They were stopped a week later, which was effectively last week, and you see there's just one shoot coming there, and the others won't be far behind if these are anything to go by. And other shoots, plants like that, they were stopped in between the two, so there's effectively 2 full weeks between these and that, and a week between that and that. So somewhere in between those shoots, with a little bit of it playing around on these ones, if they give me extra shoots I can delay them, should be the flowers for our shows, from bank holiday through to hopefully Harrogate from plants like that. That's the idea anyway, so we can only see what happens. Bonaventure, 2 out of the 6 plants I've stopped that I was just leaving on the natural, and then the other 6 I've done as per usual, topped them, stripped them, and there are shoots coming from below, just starting, so you can see under there they are, and hopefully those will run through to flower without me having to mess about with them. These are the brins, which are well away. I've gone through those and took them down to 4s mostly at this stage, and I'll make decisions on them, but they've got the first tie round. Some of them not actually doing anything, but it's just a job done, and I can just go around and poke the shoots between the string later. Again, Alvis, we've got from that to that. You can see the shoots coming down there, so that'll be there. I had a problem with the gold. You might think it's a problem, it is. And it's where the stem rots from the top. I've basically just cut it off. Hopefully this last joint down here will stay sound, but you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shoots coming from that plant, so hopefully they'll just keep going and growing away, and I'd expect those to maybe flower Harrogate or before being a marigold. But it seems to be a thing of the variety, and this year I've seen a little bit more of it than usual. So we've got 1 there, 2, 3, those are all fine, and 4. So that's what they're doing, they're rotting at the top, as you can see. But the only way really to deal with it is to knife down and just remove it. And here we've got actually a break that was coming earlier, and I stopped it at the time. I'll take that bit off there, ain't gonna do anything, and hopefully from around here, I don't want to stick around too much, we'll get at least another 1 shoot that should do the job for us later on. If not, it'll be a 2-up marigold. See the Valentine are all starting to shoot out as well, so I was quite pleased with that because they were being a bit slow. But again, we've gotten from that to only just thinking about it, so hopefully that will spread them out. And it looks like over there is another gold that is doing the same. You've got to be careful when you cut down here that you don't end up cutting through the shoots that are coming, but get rid of that. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one just coming there, 6 shoots. That won't be a problem, hopefully, and get us to the show. So don't panic if it does happen, but it's not ideal. But as long as the plant is buried properly and there's roots to grow, they should be fine.